Yeah, sorry. Oh, yeah. The tip of the teeth, the top of the tongue.
Oh, whoa.
Red
Hey,
leather, yellow leather.
look at us doing audio. But
Warm-ups?
Warm-ups.
Warm-ups? Red leather, yellow leather, that one always, like, bothered me, and I don't know why. Like, I just don't, like, there are some of them I don't like, and that's one of them.
Huh.
Jake doesn't like leather.
Yeah,
Call up-
sorry. I'm not a
call
leather
up-
daddy.
Call up big cow industry. No more leather.
No more leather. All right.
Yeah.
Good cold open there we just did,
Cold
boys.
open. Good cold open. And that was scripted. That was Matthew's first attempt at doing a scripted opening. We read
It went
exactly
great.
his script.
It went great.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for entertaining that. I think I've got a great career in writing comedy. Improv, what's that?
I totally thought you said writing copy. Like this was like what you want. Yeah, this is a trial for a fucking ad agency.
Very funny. Hello and welcome back. This is episode 68.
God, we're
Almost
so
there.
close.
So close, guys.
So
Part
close to
2
70.
of our 90s rom-com bracket.
Too bad the podcast is canceled after this episode.
Yeah.
Hey, we made it a lot further than a lot of other three friends who got bored and wanted to do a thing, did a thing podcast.
That's true. We did a thing.
We did. And I was going to make a joke about being bankrolled by some corporate entity, but that ain't true.
Yeah.
Bankrolled by them.
We're bankrolled by you, if anything.
This is the Tough Cut Podcast, and I'm Matthew.
I'm Alex.
I'm Jake. Jakey Jake.
And coming at you in today's episode, we've got the other half of our 90s rom-com bracket. Should be lots of fun matchups today.
Yeah, 90s rom-coms. That's the theme of the bracket. So we picked rom-coms that came out in the 90s.
Yeah.
I did my job today.
Yeah,
Thanks,
all
Alex.
of us, no matter what, we picked a movie in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They came out in the 90s.
They have some sort of love element in them, I think.
And at least a laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for
Cool.
us.
What else? What else, Jake?
Oh, yeah, no, we're going to be spoiling these laughs and loves so much. And we got some doozies in here. We got some plot twist heavy rom-coms in here, super like, oh God, what's going to happen? Just super,
Yeah.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Honestly,
yeah.
if someone sat down with these 4 movies and tried to predict how they would end after, 10 minutes in, it would be impossible.
I guarantee you, if someone watched, I'll say the first 10 minutes of Groundhog Day, no chance would, and they'd never heard the movie before, no chance would they know what was going to happen in that movie.
They couldn't predict what the plot would be, but they could see, like the wistful look at a young woman across the room.
Wait, do they end up together?
What's putting down. Anyway, coming at you in today's episode.
Hey,
Whoa.
Hey, what? Hey.
We've got Wedding Singer versus Groundhog Day in the first half, and then we've got You've Got Mail versus Dilwale, Jayenge in the second half of the episode. Again, apologies for the pronunciations on that one. It's not perfect, but we're trying.
I've heard that many people just abbreviate it to DDLJ.
DDLJ.
Nice. Love that.
Nice.
It's like a DJ name, but with like a lot of letters in between.
Jake, do you want to go ahead and introduce Groundhog Day?
Oh shit, we're just zooming in. We're just being little zoomers.
We're 4 minutes into this episode, so yeah, we're zooming in.
Wait, I thought we were gonna.
Is made by 3 Zoomers.
I thought we were gonna try my hour-long cold open that I wrote. You guys promised.
Next episode, 69. It's the
Yeah,
big,
69.
Oh,
It's
it's
the
the
big.
big. It's
hour-long
the big.
cold
All right,
open.
yeah. It's a spoken word piece too. I hope you guys are ready for that.
I'm ready.
It's gonna be great. I pitched Groundhog Day. It's directed by Harold Ramis, 1993. It's Bill Murray.
Cool.
Yeah, very, very cool. Harold Ramis. It's Bill Murray. It's a cynical TV weatherman. He finds himself reliving the same day over and over again. And it's on Groundhog Day. You have how do you say that Groundhog's name?
Punxsutawney.
You have Punk Phil, PP. You got PP. There, and he's filming PP for annual Groundhog Day, and
He's filming all that big PP.
wait. We got him. Yeah, But yeah, he's basically, he relives the same day every day. And the only thing that could stop that supernatural, scary, actual reality, if that was a real thing, love. Yeah, this is such a charming movie to me. I love the premise, incorporating some like low concept sci-fi into the mix. Just getting some kind of like game in to make a rom-com kind of like get a little fluff, a little fluffer. How like some people have to fluff their penises. This is what this movie is for rom-coms.
What? Where? What?
Anyway,
I'm so confused with what you meant by that statement.
Or fluffer, isn't fluffer a term? Or like,
no, I know what a fluffer is. I'm confused
Yeah.
at how this is a fluffer for romance.
That is what I don't understand. When you picked the wrong thing for that word, I'm confused about the first piece.
What? So that's it. So this is Groundhog Day, directed by Harold Ramis, 1993. It's about a cynical TV weatherman who finds himself reliving the same day over and over again.
Okay.
Where he goes on location. And it's the fluffer of rom-coms in the 90s. So what do you guys think of this movie?
Jake, I'm still confused on the fluffer part.
We can't get caught up on the fluffer. We can't.
I feel like I need answers though.
I'm crying. Yeah. Anyway, so I pitched Groundhog Day, directed by Harold Ramis, 1993.
Please,
it's about
please. Guys, we're caught in the Groundhog Day. We're caught in the Groundhog Day.
Yeah, I genuinely think it's charming. This is like a time in Bill Murray's like career that I really, really like his shit. I like a lot of Bill Murray's stuff. Fun fact, for all you fun fact Jake counters out there, I know there's at least 7 of you listening. Scrooged is my favorite Christmas movie.
Wow.
And that's Bill Murray's version of, Christmas Carol. So, yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, Matthew, what do you think? You got
Matthew time.
I feel like this is a very hard movie to not like. Well, unless you really don't like the Groundhog Day stuck in a time loop premise.
Right.
It is a very charming movie. It's really fun to watch Bill Murray's character grow as a human being, go from like a turbo asshole to like good guy is nice, It is like a bit of love for the soul. Show that
Chicken soup.
Yeah, chicken soup for the soul. I was going to go on a philosophical diatribe, but we'll keep it in the realm of chicken soup instead.
Chicky soupy. Yeah, Matthew's like, yeah, this is going to be all philosophical, and I'm just over here like, chicky soupy, please. Yum warm.
Yeah. Where it stands as a rom-com, I think I've got a lot of thoughts about. But I love this movie.
This guy hates calling things rom-coms. I've learned.
I think I just have apparently I went into this thinking I had a very loosey-goosey definition, but I feel like I've got like a really kind of strict
So I'll bounce in here. When I've thought of Groundhog Day, I have never thought of it as a rom-com before.
Yo, what
like
the fuck?
To me, that has never been the point of it. And it was interesting this time watching it, specifically looking for it, because like, yeah, it's there. Like there's a love story in it. I don't know that I think it's the like main story in it. I'll just kind of come out and say it. I actually don't really like this movie that much.
Whoa.
Damn. You don't like Palm Springs?
I love Palm Springs. I love the concept of Groundhog Day. But and it's weird because I've never had this realization before until watching this movie again for this bracket. I just kind of don't believe Bill Murray in this movie. Like, I don't really believe that his character I don't really buy into it.
You think he would have stayed a turbo asshole?
Well, it's just like, I feel like the change to becoming a good person to me in this. So, okay, just quick comparison. What I like about Groundhog Day is that they go into like, oh, these are the phases of like what a person thinks and feels and like goes through when they're stuck in this situation. But I feel like he goes into the like, I'm a god, like I am out of this world, like I don't understand, like he feels out of it and above everything. And to me, when he like goes from that to then helping people, to me, it doesn't feel like he ever came out of being above everything and outside of everything. And so it doesn't feel genuine when he's being a good person. So I just kind of don't buy into it.
That's so interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
it is difficult because I knew you loved Palm Springs, so I didn't know how you felt like about this movie, and that one, like, I genuinely like. I like more than Groundhog Day, so maybe it's also like contributing to you feel like Palm Springs did the premise of Groundhog Day much better, and seeing the original is just like I don't really believe it as much as I believe fucking Andy Samberg.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I don't know. I think it really, to me, though, comes down to Bill Murray. Like, I think it's a good movie. Like, I think there's a lot of good scenes in it. I think it does the story well. I just, like, at the end of the day, don't believe that he turned into a good person. I feel like his character could have. For me, the performance didn't get there, which is weird because I've never heard anyone else talk about Bill Murray in this movie that way. But
yeah,
that's how I feel.
I mean, hey, you're entitled to your wrong opinion. No, I'm kidding. I mean, that's interesting to think about.
Yeah, and we can talk about it more later when we get into the full conversation. But Matt, do you want to go ahead and introduce The Wedding Singer?
Yeah, sure thing. So The Wedding Singer, released in 1998, directed by Frank Carrassi. It is an Adam Sandler movie, one of the early Adam Sandler movies.
Yeah, you can tell.
He plays Robbie Hart, a wannabe rock star turned wedding singer, who gets left at the altar on the day of his wedding as he has a chance encounter with a new waitress who moved into town, Julia, who is gonna get married to absolute turbo asshole Glenn. That's my word of the day, turbo asshole.
Can I just say, genuinely, just sidebar. This can make it in the episode, or it can make it not. I really like your use of the word turbo today, Matthew. Good word.
Thank you. Really trying to revive it, bring it back. See Turbo start.
It's just you
up.
and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Do you guys remember that snail racing movie, Turbo?
Yeah.
Maybe Turbo should stay dead.
Did he die in that movie?
No, I guarantee he didn't, though, if someone sprinkled a little salt on him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anyway, with a turbo asshole Glenn, as Robbie and Julia begin slowly forming a relationship, as Robbie helps her plan her wedding, they fall in love. So this is a classic early Adam Sandler flick. What to say about this movie? I think that there's just a lot that I like about it. I think there's a lot of jokes that I appreciate. I think that I love that Adam Sandler actually does all of his singing in this film. Namely the "Somebody Kill Me Please" is a great bit and sounds like about a third of the trashcore songs I have on my Spotify playlist.
No, I literally was I was going to bring that up in this conversation. I was like, this is deadass a song that Matthew would listen to on his 2 a.m. playlist where he's feeling like a sad boy and he's like, this is art and no one understands me. I can confirm it's a good playlist. It's just you got to get past the whole, of it all.
Yeah, the trashcore vibes and a little bit of angst.
Mm-hmm.
This song would unironically fit right in. There's just a lot that I really enjoy about this movie. I just think it's really fun. And I do think it is very firmly a rom-com. The romance center stage.
See, I just never get that vibe.
Comedy. I'm really there. This is a musical to me.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah. Don't get me started on musicals.
We'll talk about one. Jake, what are your thoughts and feelings about this movie?
So for this, to me, this is I don't remember if it's the first or not, but this is, Drew Barrymore, Adam Sandler movies. And love him or hate him, it's Gore Verbinski. No, that's a throwback to another early...
It's one of our old bits.
Old bits. We probably talked about Gore Verbinski last episode.
No, word for word that sentence. I think Matthew literally said love him or hate him, it's Gore Verbinski when describing Mouse Hunt. So... Anyway, love him or hate him, it's Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
But watching this movie, I do like it. I think there's charm there. Sometimes it reads like a very SNL movie.
Mm-hmm. I could see that.
And that's fine. Like, I don't necessarily hate that. There's some people who fucking like despise that, but I don't really care. But honestly, this movie just made me want to watch 50 First Dates, and that's in the 2000s.
Literally just Googled 50 First Dates to figure out when it came out. Because man, if that wasn't in this bracket,
Yep. That was one of the ones where I literally wanted to pitch it, but it was a cusper. It was a fluffer. Mm-hmm. So yeah. And I don't know what that says about this movie, that I saw this movie and I, wanted to watch another movie. Sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad. But that's how I feel about The Wedding Singer. Other than I literally thought the exact same thing when I was like, Matthew would adore this song. And yeah, totally on brand. What do you think?
Thank you.
I had actually never seen this movie before. And I was like shockingly surprised to see Adam Sandler actually acting. I feel like so many of his stuff from like 90s and early 2000s was just him being Adam Sandler.
Right. But then he gets into like Pixels, and then it's like cinema.
And then honestly, the biggest snub of all time.
Yeah.
The fact that people wanted to watch Uncut Gems instead. JK, we'll talk about it on the podcast one day.
Yeah, I was like pleasantly surprised. Really enjoyed it.
Nice.
Yeah. I think that's kind of where I'm sitting with it. I thought it was a good story.
Pleasantly surprised.
There was a B romantic plot.
Right. Between the Groundhog and Bill Murray.
Yeah. Yeah, we're talking about Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Okay, looping back, because you mentioned that. So I watched Groundhog Day. It's available on Amazon Prime Video.
Was that we're not sponsored, guys. That felt like such an ad read for some reason. I don't.
You can watch today's movies on Amazon Prime Video. Is it suspicious that every film's available on Amazon Prime Video that you get just for having a Prime subscription? But the reason I mention that is because Prime pops up with like trivia and all sorts of other things. Watching Groundhog Day and looking at the trivia as they talk about the absolutely buck wild early version of the script is like insanity. There was apparently like Bill Murray like sneaks into the groundhog's den to battle it at the end of the film. He gets cursed by a witch that he must fall in love with the groundhog or else be like trapped in this time purgatory forever, and like all sorts of other insane bullshit. And I'm like, they toned this movie down, my
and that wouldn't have made it a rom-com. Although
that would have been an adventure story. That would have
been an adventure fantasy. Look, I can't lie, watching this movie, did I want him and the groundhog to smooch? Maybe.
When they're in the car
there's vibes. There's romantic vibes for sure.
You can cut that tension with a spoon.
But not like the edge of the spoon, like the round part.
Yeah, the round part.
A little joke I want to call out from Wedding Singer really fast before we dive into like, I don't know, big brain comparisons. There's the moment in the movie where the old woman is like, oh, I just know your guys' marriage will be so strong. Like these people and these people and these people. And I'm sure hits much harder when this movie actually came out in 98. But every single one of those sets of marriages were all people that were, when the movie takes place, not yet divorced, but divorced by the time the movie is released. Which is like, I feel like a very... I feel very fun about that.
They had a lot of fun with the like setting of the movie, the costumes and stuff. It's a great time.
Yeah. So the big question on everyone's minds here, comedy and romance. Obviously, Alex, you spoke a little bit about how you see Groundhog Day in terms of comedy and romance. But where do we see these on the spectrum? I guess, Jake, if you want to speak to it a little bit.
Both,
either.
Yeah, it's like I don't know if so. Like I'm realizing in my picks, in all of my picks, like I do love rom-coms and I love just classic rom-coms. But for some reason, for the ones I picked, I love like a little bit of fluff. Like I love a little bit of like something else, and I feel like that's what makes rom-coms super excited for me, when they have like another layer like on top of it thrown in. And so like, while I agree, I don't think Groundhog Day, like the romance is like it like the romance on the accents is like lower than The Wedding Singers, but I do think it's like very fun. Like it's a fun movie, and I think that's another thing that rom-coms for me need to be. Like there needs to be some element of fun, not even funny, but like we're having fun. Either the premise is fun or like we as an audience are having fun. Like there is something just inherently fun about what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel that, you know, with Groundhog Day, because it's fun. It's a fun premise. I also feel it with The Wedding Singer to a certain degree. I mean, I think, you know, it's not a musical, but like it's like having the musical component of like around weddings, but not really about wedding. You know, like it's like it's fun. I'm having fun. So for me, there's another scale. There's like X, Y, and I guess Z scale. There's like a fun scale.
Oh, it's a 3-dimensional graph.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got that. You got that good shit.
I got that good. Yeah. I got that biblically accurate graph. That's what mine looks like.
Yeah, so
Jesus is my fluffer.
I think that Wedding Singer is like very archetypically a rom-com. It probably leans a little bit more comedy than it does romance, but I do think there's those romantic elements. I think it hits both of those. I think it hits your fun scale, Jake. And then Groundhog Day, I think, is like way up the comedy axis and just like a little bit up the romance axis. For me, I still think it is more of a rom-com to me than The Parent Trap is.
Okay.
I thought you were going to say there's something about Mary.
No, Something About Mary is like a rom-com.
But is it fun? Do I as an audience member have fun watching?
Yeah, it's negative on the fun scale.
But I feel like Groundhog Day, because like the central plot is about Bill Murray becoming not asshole. You spend a lot of the movie of him like figuring out at be an asshole, you know? And like parsing through his emotions. He's like, oh, I can use my godhood to sleep with every woman in town, you know, which like, whatever. Palm Springs does like, you know, does the same concept because I think they're intentionally riffing. So I'm not like passing judgment there or whatever. But it's like, he doesn't get to, oh, like I love Rita until very far in, admittedly with the caveat that I think it's really nice that him trying to make the perfect date, like, for selfish reasons does not work out, where when he just like makes the perfect day by just being a good person is when it finally works out. I think is a nice touch.
Yeah.
But to wrap up my thoughts, because I've talked for like 2 minutes straight, I'm not like intentionally trying to relate it to Palm Springs, but obviously it has a similar premise.
Yeah,
you know, I think Palm Springs is very much inspired by Palm Springs. To me, does like the romance angle in a much more direct way that I think retroactively almost makes me re-examine Groundhog Day's approach. And it's like, oh, like he is falling in love with her because he spent, you know, 100 fucking years or however long. It's apparently highly disputed between 40,000 and 42 or something.
People like have the math like outlined. It's like intense. It's really fun, actually.
But depending what set of presuppositions you make about the math, like wildly varies how much time you're calculating, which is just crazy. It's whatever. So I think that like he is falling in love with her as a person, but she commensurately has like one day to grow good feelings about him. And I just think that that's like a really interesting angle to take.
Yeah. Because Palm Springs, I mean, we're not talking about Palm Springs, but
because
like,
they're both in the time loop.
They're both in the time loop. It's good. And they're also like, it's around a wedding as well. And like, you know, like the romance was at the table where like this was about a sexy, like groundhog.
Yeah, that
sorry, a groundhog for a holiday.
Here's where I'm kind of coming at it from. I think it's a 4-dimensional graph.
Oh shit!
Oh my god, we're getting high concept.
Oh shit!
Because
us with the tough cut.
I think Groundhog Day is fun. I think it's got comedy. I think it's got romance. But I still don't feel like it's a rom-com. And that makes me, like, the only way that I can describe it is that I feel like this movie is about Bill Murray. It's not about their relationship in the same way that, like, a movie like Jungle Cruise
No,
is about
God, please.
Jungle
No.
Cruise is about the explorer lady, and there is romance in it.
Yeah, that they put in there for some. Well,
but like, I don't consider that like an adventure romance story. I consider it an adventure story. You know, like just because there is romance in this movie, in my mind, does not make it a rom-com. Now, all of that to be said, when I looked up the movie to search it to like watch it, it was categorized as a rom-com. So what do I know?
But yeah, it is
But,
interesting. I also view it as, and I know, and we're in the rom-coms, especially 90s rom-coms, for like it's romance. It stands for romance comedy. So like romance meaning, you know, romance of like, you know, what we think of is a relationship. But for me also like the romance, like, you know, in this one particularly, he's like learning also like you said, like you had the perfect day with her. That's great. But it really worked when he was just being a good person. He's learning not to love someone else, but love to be himself. And that's what allows him to love going forward. So that's where the romance comes in for me, is like, you're being romantic to yourself, which I think is a really awesome message to have in a rom-com.
As someone who really likes self-improvement.
Yeah.
I think that's a really interesting point. But to take us down the fucking moron tube, because I have to talk about it.
Yeah.
Punxsutawney Phil.
Yeah.
Groundhog Day.
Mm-hmm.
As an institution.
Yeah.
Why do we trust a groundhog?
He's packing.
Also, can I... Okay. Also,
that groundhog don't need no fluffer.
For our non-American listeners, Groundhog Day, basically we pull out a groundhog, you know, and if he sees his shadow or doesn't see his shadow, it tells you if spring's coming or if we're going to have some more winter. The important caveat, though, it's either spring will come soon or there'll be 6 more weeks of winter. That's the same fucking concept.
Yeah.
6 weeks is pretty soon for spring to come.
I mean, not to a groundhog.
That's 2 months. If you think about like, is spring
1.5.
happening? 6. I mean, one.
Anyway,
we'll split the difference. 1 3/4.
Okay, sure.
But like, if you think about the difference from like spring happening at like the end of February, or it would be spring at like the end of March versus May. That's a big difference.
Wait, is March a winter month?
No,
I think spring is mid-March.
Maybe.
Right?
Yeah.
Didn't he say like March whatever? And
like
the guy
that.
was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, that's the
hearing
March
first
to me is not like a winter month."
All I'm hearing is Alex is a Groundhog Day apologist, and he thinks a 39% chance to predict if there's going to be more winter is an acceptable percentage.
Look, if I was some rodent living underground with a giant penis, I would want people to trust me predicting the weather.
Here's the thing. People didn't have like internet and entertainment as much as they did back then, because this isn't
just look at the groundhog.
Yeah, wait. Okay,
this is like an old. This is an old tradition.
Conversation. I wonder. So I can't tell if it's because I have grown up and no longer watch the news with my parents every morning before I go to school, or if it's because we're adults now and the internet age has ruined Groundhog Day. Is Groundhog Day still a thing? And I'm just like not aware of it anymore because I've escaped.
And it's a big deal in those small like towns as well, and like in schools, like elementary schools, will talk about it because it's funny.
There are multiple. Punxsutawney is obviously the big one, but there's some other.
Yeah, there are cultists out there. There's like whole religions based on these groundhogs. It's actually like what I thought you were going to bring up initially, Matthew.
Well, I'm
not
like
trying all the conspiracy theories about
assassinated by the groundhog cult.
Yeah, by the PP cult.
PP cult, Punxsutawney Phil. Yeah, I just think that's wild. It's very silly. And
it is silly, but also I think it's very fun to have that be the game of this like movie. Yeah, and,
it's also go ahead. Sorry.
No, yeah, I'm just saying like for this movie, that's like a fun factor. It's like, why Groundhog Day? That's so stupid. And now, because of this movie, because it's a cult classic,
put it on the map.
It's on the map. People know that. But when you think of a Groundhog Day, fun fact, if you look up right now on Google and search Groundhog Day, it'll say, did you mean Groundhog Day? And you'll click it and it'll say, did you mean Groundhog? And it'll just keep bringing you to the same page.
That's really fun.
Yeah. And it took me a while to get it because I was like, am I fucking spelling this wrong? What's going on?
It's the perfect holiday for this movie because, one, no one cared about it. And two, it's a movie about like calendars and like it's a holiday about calendars and time. So it's like the perfect holiday.
Grobbler's Knob.
Gobbler's Knob.
Oh yeah, thank you. Gobbler's Knob, not Grobbler's Knob.
Yeah, that
Gobbler's
that was your goblin brain speaking.
Grobbler would be a person, and it would be Grobbler's Knob. But Gobbler's Knob, there's something going on there. What's up with that knob?
Yeah, come on. I feel like that's explicit.
That's an explicit.
You can't be Goblin Knob.
They did an explicit on us.
Yeah, they did. Is it actually called Gobbler's Knob?
Yeah.
I could have done research, but today it's pure vibes.
Yeah, it's Gobbler's
Knob. Also, looping back around.
Transparency for the nasties, little nasties out there.
Wedding Singer. Sorry, I'm jumping back. Glenn. Glenn is an
turbo
I-bonds.
Turbo asshole.
He's a turbo asshole that trades I-bonds. Cringe, dude. Couldn't even become an investment banker trading stocks, dude. What the hell? This guy's so cringe. And that's my piece on finance.
And honestly, that's probably where his vote's lying. Because Glenn, that's probably... I already could see it now. I can see the headlines.
So I know we've barely talked about these movies, but I
think we have actually, but individually, not comparisons.
Yeah, I don't really know where we stand on the clock.
We should probably vote.
I should go first. I'll go first.
Yeah,
because I feel like
I'll
I'm the
go
most
first,
obvious.
and then I'll go next.
Because I feel like
You're more in the middle. I'm voting for Wedding Singer. I personally just don't really feel like Groundhog Day is a rom-com, and if it is a rom-com, I feel like it is less of a rom-com than The Wedding Singer.
For me, I still think there's something really beautiful about, learning to love yourself and so you could love others. And I love a good fluffer. So Groundhog Day gets my vote. Please don't spite vote against it because I said fluffer. Please. I instantly regretted it. Please.
Literally my first thought was like, I gotta put this bit to bed. I gotta put it down.
I the regret in my eyes.
Jake's just going to start saying fluffer whenever there's a movie he doesn't want to move on.
Yeah, this movie just reminds me of the fluffer for some reason.
For some reason. This is tough. I think
fluff.
To me, this one, I think, is the unfortunate circumstance where one of these movies I think is a better movie, but I think the other one fits the bracket better. So I do...
That's Jake's MO, baby.
Good movies, which is why he wins the Oscar bracket every year.
I can win the Oscar bracket, no problem.
So I'm going to vote for The Wedding Singer here. Groundhog Day, don't get me wrong, I think is a great movie. And I do think probably qualifies as a rom-com. It's just not quite as rom-com-y to me.
Dude, in a certain decade, you couldn't say that. We would have got would have got banned. He said commie. Anyway.
Yeah, you're right. The Red Scare.
Yeah, that would have been Pirate Radio, baby. We would have been sailing, which is another good movie, actually. Check out the movie Pirate Radio if you haven't.
Yeah.
Very good movie.
So a tearful goodbye to Groundhog Day because it is a movie I really love.
Yeah, Groundhog Day, directed by Harold Ramis, 1993. It's about a cynical TV. Fluffer. It's a fluffer rom-com about...
Jumping to our last matchup here. Alex, would you like to go ahead and introduce You've Got Mail?
Yeah, You've Got Mail, released in 1998, directed by Nora Ephron. Kathleen Kelly and Joe Fox have been corresponding over email and fallen in love, but they don't know it because they won't give each other personal details, and also because they're both in relationships at the time. They meet in real life when they find out that Joe Fox is building a mega store nearby, and it puts her store, Kathleen Kelly's, out of business. That's a bummer. But then they become friends and fall in love.
Mm-hmm.
And that's You've Got Mail.
Thanks.
I used to watch this movie with my mom, and it's always been one of my favorites. Jake, you ask people about like their list of movies that are like formative to them. This is one of mine.
I remember, actually.
Yeah. I have always just really enjoyed the love story in it and the like way that their relationship builds and forms. I think I've liked that it's not just like traditional boy meets girl, they fall in love, they fight, then they like fall in love again, like they get back together at the end, because that is like kind of what happens, but it's done in such an interesting way because their relationship is so multidimensional. Yeah, I have just always loved this movie. Jake, what you think?
This movie is always so interesting to me because Dave Chappelle's in it. No,
Yeah. What?
yeah, he pops up. I think it, like, You've Got Mail plays complicated relationships in a probably in a refreshing way for the 90s. I feel like this being a product of the 90s is interesting to me because, you know, there are two people who are like, they're in a relationship, like you said, it's online. Like, it must have felt like super fresh at the time, and like watching it now also feels like I'm like, oh, it's interesting that it got made at the time it did to me, and I give credit to that because, you know, people want these romantic love stories where everything like fits and it's good, and like, sure, like things are rough, but like they come together, and like that it does play out here like that. But also there are other layers. People get in relationships with people who've been in relationships, or they technically cheated, or they like met people online and did weirder shit, frankly, than this movie. But
it only scratches the surface of internet strangeness.
If we got a You Got Mail too, it's not safe. All right. That's the movie Unfriended. Hashtag sex knife.
Moses Storm, come on the show.
Right. No.
I swear I won't ask you about the sex knife again, like I did at your comedy show.
That's a real story, friends. That's a real sentence, and he'll get into that if we ever get enough money on this thing and go on tour.
Thanks.
Yeah, but Matthew, what do you think? You Got Mail?
This movie is so archetypical, like 90s rom-com. I mean, I guess by that I mean it's the movie wit that people think of. At least it's one of the first ones I think of when I think 90s rom-coms, and maybe was the reason the bracket was set in the 90s.
This was the reason. I picked this movie and wanted to talk about this movie, and so I was like, hey, let's do 90s rom-coms.
It is like such a comfy movie.
Yeah.
They somehow turn like the hustle and bustle of New York City into like such a comfy, like, I just want to nestle in and hang out in a bookshop in New York, or like, I don't know, go for a walk somewhere. Like,
makes you just believe in love.
Enjoy this movie. Yeah, it makes you believe in love. Well, we'll talk about it.
Well,
I love this movie. It is a rom-com fully. There's, you know, I love the early internet weirdness of like, it's so funny. Unintentionally sometimes, but yeah, this is
a product of its time, funny, like, for a lot of bits, but like that's fine.
For just as many moments that are intentional jokes that hit, there are also moments that are like unintentionally funny just because, like, hey, you know, it's way later, times are different.
yeah.
Jake, would you like to introduce DDLJ?
Yeah, this is again, we already talked about this, but full apologies. We will be trying to pronounce like the names of people and the movie, and if we get it wrong, we apologize, and we're trying our best. But we really love, I pitched this movie. I don't know how actually they feel about it. I really love this movie, and I really want to bring it to the showcase. So even though I'm butchering it, I'm hoping I'm doing it justice. But this is Dilwale, Dulhania le Jayenge, and is people call it DDLJ. It's directed by Aditya Chopra, and it's 1995. Raj is a rich, carefree, happy-go-lucky, second generation non-resident Indian, and it's the dude. It's the king of Bollywood. I mean, that's who plays it. Shah Rukh Khan.
It's the man himself.
It's the man himself. And if you're familiar with Bollywood, like, at all, this is the fucking dude. And so excited if Alex is your first exposure to him, because that's the fucking guy. But yeah, so there's him, and Simran is the daughter of, you know, a very like traditional, like, you know, Indian values, very strict, and Simran has left for India to be married to her childhood fiance. Raj leaves for India with the mission, you know, at his hands to claim his lady love under the noses of the family. And literally in almost every single description afterwards, it says, "Thus begins the saga." And because, oh boy, do we get a saga. Look, I love Bollywood films. I think they're fucking very fun. You know, I talk about my scale of fun. This hits fun. Out of all of them, you guys can't, come on, it's a rom-com. You can't deny me this one this time.
You did it. You picked one movie this time that fits the bracket for sure.
I picked a rom-com. I just have a lot of fun. Like, I just think Bollywood's so fun. Like, you know, King of Bollywood's in it. Something just fucking great. The train scene at the end is one of my fave, like, you know, scenes in a rom-com. I just think it's fun. Big, exciting. Really excited to hear what you guys think about it. Alex, you can go.
I had never seen this movie before. I had never seen a movie with Shah Rukh Khan before. Oh. I had never actually seen a Bollywood movie before.
This was my shit! This is your
Bollywood
first
movie.
You broke this man's cherry live on the show.
I loved it. It was so good. It was so fun.
Oh my god!
It's 3 hours. It's such a long movie, but it like uses all of its time really well. I really liked it. Yeah, I had a great time. Matt, what about you?
This movie's fucking awesome. So I've mentioned it a couple times on the show. I think it might also just be exclusively green room conversations.
Yeah,
I don't remember. So I enjoy Indian movies. I like Bollywood movies, typically like Bollywood action movies and other Indian films. I think they're so much fun. They have such a special energy to them. Mm-hmm. So I had not actually seen this movie before.
Oh shit! I know that.
For how I did not know how famous this movie was.
This is like this is in like the 1001 movies you must see before you die in like in like British Film Institute. I don't know. It's really fun.
It was literally in theaters for 20 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was in theaters for 7,000 days.
That's
like
crazy.
I have no idea how I have never seen this movie before. I am fairly familiar with Shah Rukh Khan, the king of Bollywood. This movie is just so much fun. As Alex said, it may be 3 hours long, but it uses most of its time very, very wisely. And I feel like it leaves me wanting more. You know, I'm like, well, does his dad find love?
Yeah. Dude, honestly, like I we've talked about this on the show before, but you know, people come in different waves where, you know, new audiences and stuff. Matthew's a very expressive movie watcher, and if you ever get the privilege of watching a movie with him, I just like imagined watching this movie with Matthew and all the sound effects that must have come out of his body. Like, you know, like literally it was probably I should have asked someone to record it live if I knew it was your first time, because oh boy, it's a good one.
Yeah. So that is what makes this such a tough matchup.
Oh, it's so hard. We say it a lot that like movies that are in the first round could have been a finals matchup. This really could have been. They're both so good.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, You've Got Mail is literally what I think of when I think 90s rom-coms, even just rom-coms in general. It is a bona fide classic.
It's a classic.
It is a Western classic rom-com versus a Bollywood titan.
Yeah.
And that's in our first round.
Yeah.
What the heck happened here?
It's tough. Right. It's a shame.
I don't even know where to crack the ice on these two movies.
Shame, but also I'm glad they're both in. Like, I'm glad they both got pitched. You know, that we both got to.
Yeah,
we all got to experience these movies, and hopefully our audience watches along too, because they're like great.
Let's start with how these movies deal with strangers falling in love, because big themes in both of them. DDLJ explicitly talks about strangers. I don't remember if You've Got Mail uses the actual like word strangers, but like
They at
there's
least use this idea
Yeah,
of
I
someone
mean-
you've never met. Is like they explicitly talk about that. So yeah.
man, it's so fun. It's such a fun concept, and I never realized like what potential it had until comparing these two, right? Because I've like never thought of that idea of like, oh, of course there's a romantic idea of like waiting to fall in love, like who am I going to fall in love with? But I think these movies both handle it so well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that that's something that's really interesting here. They handle this idea of falling in love with someone you don't know very differently.
Yeah.
DDLJ has got two different sides of it. They've got one where like to be married to a stranger is very different from falling in love with a stranger.
Mhm.
And they sort of oppose those diametrically. And it's a big theme that runs through the movie, just like trains do, which
Mhm.
someone much smarter than me has unpacked, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's something there. I'm
There's a
sure
lot
a
of
film
train
student's like shaking right now. It's like, how do they not know? Like, yeah.
How didn't they see the artistry?
The trains are cars, and cars are actual trains, and trains are
Um,
railroads, and yeah.
Where you
Did they
got
ever make
mail.
a Cars movie, but it was about trains? I know they did
They
planes.
made planes, trains, and
They're-
automobiles.
Yeah, it's in the universe. Whereas You've Got Mail. So I feel like there's almost like this like faded or almost mystical element to how DDLJ handles the idea of strangers in love.
Mhm.
Whereas You've Got Mail handles it in like I don't even know how to describe it.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but here's what I think it is.
Yeah, go for it.
In my mind, the magic of You've Got Mail is the omnipotent knowledge that we have as viewers seeing the whole situation.
Hmm.
And so they're strangers to each other, but we know who they are. We know the like tragedy and irony of them falling in love, but not like knowing, and then like their relationship in real life. But then the like joy and excitement of like, well, what's going to happen when they figure out who each other are? And then when Tom Hanks figures out who Meg Ryan is, that excitement and like how that situation resolves, and then the volcanic explosion at the end of like emotion when she realizes that it's him, like, oh, like that magic of like, when will they figure out who the stranger is, you know? That's what You've Got Mail does.
Yeah, I also think that there's this idea that one of the pieces that I think is aged so well from You've Got Mail, the idea of falling in love with someone you meet on the internet is like how most couples meet nowadays. And I feel in a lot of ways this movie is like very ahead of the curve on the idea, because they mostly, other than some like jokes about the weirdness of it, of like, you don't know, he could have 152 felonies or whatever. They made a legitimate connection, not knowing who each other are, and there's something really beautiful to that.
Yeah. Yeah, again, it's wild. Like I said it like in how I felt about it. It's just wild that this movie got made for its time. It's very, very like cool, very cool to watch in retrospect. Like it's one of those movies where you watch it now and you're like, oh, that's like very cool that they made that movie then. Obviously, like there might be a better version of it now somewhere. I don't really know, but I think it's a classic, and I think it like deserves to still feel good.
Oh yeah, that one with Noah Centineo where he's on Tinder. That's a joke about.
Oh, Black Adam? Oh, yeah. Black. Right.
Yeah, so I think that's a really astute observation that both of these very centrally deal with the idea of falling in love with a stranger. That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
A little piece I want to throw out specifically on DDLJ. I want to talk about, I don't know if it's like something relating to its length. So it's a very long movie. I think, Alex and I both said we think he used the time well. I'm sure Jake implies much the same as well.
I agree.
One of the funniest pieces about the length of this movie is I feel like there's this perfect moment about exactly 2 hours in that for the vast majority of films could be an ending to a rom-com where basically they both come to India, he's reunited with her, and she's just like, take me away. Like that could be like a good enough ending. But Shah Rukh Khan's character Raj has this like strongly tied piece to his Indian heritage where he's like, no, your father, like, I am going to ask your father to let me marry you, and it's going to happen. We're going to allow it to happen. And the movie has another hour where it's like, just kidding, baby. We got to do this plot line now.
Yeah.
It's like pretty metal, and honestly, I'm glad you brought it up, because that's like one of the reasons why like I love this rom-com story, because like I kind of love, usually people don't say this sentence about a movie, but like it refused to end, and I loved it for it. It's not like a movie where I'm like, Jesus, please end. It's just like it like said to the audience, we are not ending here. We're exploring something different, and damn it, you're gonna watch it and you're gonna enjoy this shit. And I think that's bold and awesome, and also more realistic. For like love, for stories, how they like go and get complicated even after that whole, end credits. We got together, we did the thing. And especially, I imagine for like Indian families who feel this like intense, like, Western families, we could have been like, just run away with him. It's fine. Fuck the dad. No, dude, we can't fucking do that.
Yeah.
So I applaud the balls that, and I just assume it was just Shah Rukh Khan, just, was like, hey,
it was improv. That was
that
where
was-
the script ended.
The script ended there. He came in that day. He's like, I have an hour.
He
more
just
of
refused.
notes.
He refused to film the dialogue of being like, yes, let's run away. Every
Yeah.
time they filmed it, he was like, no.
Which is, it's a testament to cultural heritage of a diaspora that I think is really nice.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It plays really well for the film.
It's so interesting. I think both of these movies have such strong final acts. Like,
Sure thing.
we talked about DDLJ, but in You've Got Mail, there's like the whole section of the movie where he is now actively trying to become her friend, talking to her about the guy that she's dating online. And it's just so fun to like have these conversations bounce back and forth. Oh, it's so good. It's so entertaining. It's so fun the whole time.
There's a really, really good dynamic going on. Though something in You've Got Mail that I don't think has aged very well for the internet era is the fact that Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan are like basically having an emotional affair for the entire film.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No. They definitely have the fair. 100%.
There's like a couple instances where they're like talking to someone in their life and it's like, well, have you done anything with them? They're like, no, God, no. And it's like, you're
Okay.
good then.
Yes, 100%.
Which I
But
just think is funny. It's funny in retrospect.
the movie also does such a good job of justifying it to be like, well, her and Frank aren't in love. Like, they have that scene where he starts to break up
Right.
with her because he's not in love with her. And then Tom Hanks's girlfriend is just the worst. So it like, yes, 100%. They were emotionally cheating. Totally. But also the movie justifies it and makes you not feel bad about it.
Well, that's the thing that I like about it, because no matter what, I still think they're wrong. Like, they're wrong in that, but like they're not afraid to muddy the waters and be like, you forgave him though, and other people would too. Like, you as an audience member, you were rooting for him. So who are you to judge the person who just emotionally cheated on that person? And like kind of holding that mirror up to people and being like, yeah, dude, sorry. Like,
well,
you like
and that
shit.
too, I feel like is so good and it's so strong that it's able to do that, because additionally, it shows like she's able to forgive him for like putting her out of business in the same way that you're able to be like rooting for their relationship. It's so interesting.
Just looping back to the I don't love you either scene.
So good. So fun.
Between Kathleen or Meg Ryan's character and
Frank,
played by
Greg Kinnear.
Yeah.
Another powerhouse dude. Something
So
about
good.
him just screams like, yeah, that guy.
That guy is such a good scene. I think it portrays something that is hard to capture, but is a very real human thing. Like, people do fall out of love with each other, and they capture it in a weirdly graceful way. That happens to like maintain both characters as likable as they like work out. Oh wait, wow. Oh.
Well, and I think the movie does such a good job with their relationship in particular, because like you see Kathleen's side of it throughout the whole time. Like, she is strongly emotionally connected to this internet persona, and in that final scene, right before they have that dinner where they like break up with each other, they're like mad at each other. They're fighting at the movie theater. Like it shows the like tension that builds up in you when you feel trapped in a relationship that you're like obligated to be in. It's so good. It's so
also
good.
Can't fault my boy Frank, because he's a big fan of Heidegger and Foucault. This man, philosophy right up his alley, dude. What the heck is that about?
Chicky soupy for the soul.
Yeah. Also, unintentionally funny. I have to call it out. I know at the time they make the joke of like, oh, rent control in New York City. He's like, I got a six bedroom or a 6-room place, not 6-bedroom, 6-room place for $450, and it's like, sure.
Wow.
Imagine.
Crazy.
Imagine. Yeah, some shit watching that movie hurts.
The $2.95 Starbucks is a little one where I'm like, that's like $7 now.
Yeah, I know it's tough, fellas, but
oh my god, I just looked at the clock.
It's we're gearing up.
Yeah. Are there any last like topics of conversation we want to try and cover comparing these two films?
I just feel like there's like a technical brilliance to how DDLJ, like every scene is enhanced. Like I'm thinking, we didn't even talk about like, you know, the songs and like the flower like scene and all that. It's just like, for me, I'm having fun. Also, Jake Scale, there's comedy there, but you could feel the romance. Like it's like enhanced. Like this movie like enhances the rom-com for me. See, I didn't use the other word. But like I genuinely feel that way, and I feel like especially this one as a testament. I love You Got Mail as well, but comparing like best rom-coms.
Oh god, 90s, Jake's showing his hand a little bit.
I'm showing my hand. It's enhanced. Like, well, because we're in our final act here. We're in our final act.
Sure.
And you gotta bring out the big bucks.
So one last thought comment.
Right.
I don't know how you guys feel about it, but we mentioned it when talking about 10 Things I Hate About You and Pretty Woman.
I'm scared of what you're going to say next.
These, I feel like the relationships in these two movies are the two relationships I am most confident in surviving past the end of the film.
Confident will survive?
Will survive, yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I feel like basically every other rom-com in this bracket, it's shaky ground, man.
Right. The Parent Trap, they're getting a divorce again. Like, they're signing prenups.
Well,
100%.
no, Jake, Matt just doesn't consider that a rom-com.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's fair.
This is so tough.
It's so hard. I think we need to just pull the Band-Aid off and vote.
I'm full on. I'm going.
Yeah,
DDLJ.
it's not tough for you two.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
you're not.
I'm sorry.
Not caught in the goddamn trenches over here.
I'm sorry.
I'm taking shots from every side.
Shots everywhere.
Oh
keep
god, this
running.
Is so
keep running to that train. You got it.
Jake's official vote, Alex, if you'd like to issue your official vote.
Yeah. My official vote is I am voting for You've Got Mail.
Oh my god.
I think they're both incredible movies.
100%.
For me, You've Got Mail is the rom-com.
This is so tough. Because I genuinely think these are two of the like most evenly matched.
No, if like evenly matched
films.
And good.
Yeah. Evenly, yeah, exactly. Which is like an important caveat.
Yeah, because we've had some evenly matched other ones before.
For very different reasons.
Yeah.
I think I know what I'm going to vote for.
Let's hear it.
I don't know if I'll ever have my heart and soul 100% on the same page on this one, or any piece of my body. I think all of me is pulling in different directions. I'm about to explode.
Like that. I like. Oh wait, never mind. I thought it was going a sexy way. It turned into. Well, I mean,
no, that's not till next episode.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think on this one, I think I am going to vote for DDLJ.
Oof.
I think there's something about the feeling that movie left me with that I want to keep talking about it. I feel like there's more I want to try and discover. But this is probably closest to one of the scenarios where if you ask me tomorrow, it very well could be You've Got Mail. Yeah, so with that, DDLJ will face off against the Wedding Singer next episode. And we will also see Parent Trap versus Pretty Woman, not women.
That would be a very different movie.
It would be.
Imagine.
Kind of fun, though. So catch those. Look forward to it. If you disagree with us, let us know on social media, because I feel like that last matchup might be a really heated one, depending who you ask. Follow us on social media at ToughCutPod, Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd, all your favorites. Review the show, rate and review the show, I should say, on all of your favorite podcast listening platforms.
Notice how he didn't ask kindly. That's a demand.
That is a command, not a demand. Yes, a command.
Nice.
If you enjoyed today's show, you should share it with someone. Who should they share it with?
An internet friend. Share it with an internet friend.
Share it with an internet friend. And the hosts of the Tough Cut don't count.
Yeah, we don't count. We're not your friends.
We are providing
a service
for free. So start padding our pockets pretty soon. Otherwise, we're gonna cut and run, dude. This is gonna be the best
you
run
could
pull of all
Venmo
time.
us. Jake has said his Venmo a couple times. You can find it. Send him some money.
He will appreciate it.
He will appreciate it. He might share it with us. He might not. So you should just send him money 3 times.
Honestly, if he doesn't share it with you today, that means he doesn't want money, I think. So
yeah, wait, Jake. Yeah, Jake, what's your Venmo? Speak now or
share
forever
it.
hold your
He
peace.
didn't share it.
No, he didn't share it. It's definitely not because his microphone got unplugged and his audio sounds terrible, and it's definitely because he doesn't want you to send him money. So
yeah, so don't
audience,
send him money.
Do not send Jake money. Whatever you do, do not send him money.
Be on the lookout for the post 2 a.m. playlist to drop. The hottest fire of 2022.
Will you give us a sample?